Ready to go, guys. Let's call the Board of Public Works and Capital Assets meeting order. Roll call.
Seifert here.
Segal here.
Richards here.
Guzikowski here.
Bowman here.
And then Alderman Gale is excused. Approval of the minutes from 5/11/21.
Seifert moves to approve the minutes of 5/11/2021. Richard seconds.
Roll call.
Seifert, aye.
Segal aye.
Richards, aye.
Guzikowski aye.
Bowman aye.
I just have a quick question on the minutes. Should there be a date on the minutes? 'Cause it just says Board of Public Assets in board minutes, but it doesn't have the date on there, so I'm not sure if it should have it.
My sheet doesn't show 5/11. My sheet shows 4/13.
I think it's actually hidden behind the city's vision box, is what happened there, so.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Informational review for Common Council actions related to Public Works.
There were none, the last council meeting.
Okay, that makes it straightforward. Thank you, Andrew. 5, consider a motion to approve a final payment for Jewel Street sanitary project to DF Thomasini Contractors.
So the project is complete, restoration is complete. This would be the final payment release of all retainage on the project. We're happy with the work that they've done. They had to come back and do some additional restoration work, and that's been accomplished. So this final payment is $25,723.15.
Looks like that's pretty straightforward.
Question, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Mike, it's been a while since we've had that, just a general question on lift station versus the sewer. Has the philosophy changed at all on how we look at? I mean, I know you guys aren't big fans of the lift station.
Yeah, we did a life cycle analysis back around the time of this project was being done, and it was fairly clear that gravity sewer had a lower life cycle cost than lift stations did due to the ongoing maintenance, and that did not address the liability of lift stations. So no, typically we would like to eliminate lift stations wherever we could.
So is that the general consensus going forward? I mean, will you ever entertain a lift station?
So to me, each one needs to be looked at from a life cycle cost to determine whether it makes sense in that location or not. There certainly there's places that put them in, other places that put them in. So there is a purpose for them. There is a value in them in certain locations. This particular one, Garden's another one we're looking at eliminating. Those are a couple that it would make sense to eliminate. So it really just depends on the situation of that area.
I asked that question because of the interest in the lakefront that I had.
Certainly.
And there was some controversy there on the deep sewer.
Right.
So
Right, and I think that was used in that analysis that showed that the gravity sewer made more sense over time than the lift station did in that particular case. So,
right, thank you.
We've had some significant liability issues with lift stations, with inclement weather that flooded out people's basements, and we incurred some pretty heavy costs.
Good question, Mike. Thanks. Alrighty. Number 5 then. If there's no other questions, motion.
Scully moves to approve final payment for the Jewel Street sanitary project to DF Thomasini in the amount of $25,720.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call.
Seifert, aye.
Scully, aye.
Richards, aye.
Guzikowski, aye.
Bowman, aye.
Alrighty, number 6, consider a motion to approve the Rawson Avenue hydrant relocation project and award the construction contract to Cornerstone.
So this project involves hydrant relocations in advance of the county's reconstruction of Rawson Avenue. There are a number of hydrants that need to be moved out of the way. We looked at doing that work internally. It's just far too complicated for our crew to be able to handle. So we did bid the project out. We've got an original bid and an alternate bid. The difference is the original bid included PVC water main, which is what we anticipated through history to be cheaper to construct. And as it turns out, during the bidding process, we found out that due to the resin shortage, the PVC lead time was significant, and it can be more expensive than ductile iron. So we issued an addendum to allow the contractors to use ductile iron in this case. That's the alternate bid. That's the bid that's ultimately recommended. In this case, the ductile iron pipe is cheaper than the PVC, but that wasn't the big difference in the bid. And you'll see a significant difference between the low bid and the next bidder up. That's because we think the bidder made a bit of a mistake. Cornerstone made a bit of a mistake on his bid. He bid $200 per foot for ductile iron pipe. Most of the others are around $2,000 a foot. We had a bidder at $4,000 a foot. So after considering this and working with Cornerstone, they agreed to honor their bid and continue the project. So we feel comfortable. We have done work with them before. Feel comfortable we can complete this successfully.
So is the supply chain that bad, that between the lead times?
Yeah, it is. They were saying 4 to 6 weeks out on getting PVC pipe. So it was, yeah, it's significant. We actually now have a hydrant shortage. We're looking to scavenge an old hydrant on Howell Avenue down by Walgreens. They're saying that's 4 to 6 weeks out as well to try and get new hydrants. So we're not sure what's causing that particular shortage, but yeah, there's a problem getting materials.
Have any other projects that might be impacted because of this?
So we are bidding a couple projects coming up. Howell Avenue is most notably one. We're just hopeful that can be resolved or baked into the bid. So we're going to look at that. We have not heard from contractors yet to say that we should extend timelines in order to accomplish that, but we all are still fine tuning the timeline on Howell Avenue since that's such a big project for us. Rawson Avenue, the loop, that's already been bid. We've heard nothing from the contractor. He has his hydrants already in that particular case. And we asked if we could, hey, could we, shift one for over here? We'll get you one later. No. So you can't really blame them.
Checks in the mail.
Right.
Any other questions or comments? If not, motion, please.
Seifert moves to approve the Rawson Avenue hydrant relocation project and award the construction contract to Cornerstone One based on a bid amounting to $97,160.80 and amend the capital budget for water by $41,000.
Richards the second.
Roll call.
Seifert, aye.
Sealy, aye.
Richards, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Holman, aye.
Alrighty. Consider a motion, number 7, consider a motion to approve utility voucher payments. Questions or comments?
Richards will approve the accounts payable summary as listed.
Sealy seconds.
Roll call.
Seifert, aye.
Sealy, aye.
Richards, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Holman, aye.
Alright, number 8, review of utility investments.
So nothing particular to note here, except that the interest rate at 0.05 is just absolutely miserable. Thinking about getting a couple of mattresses and putting money in there. See if that can hold it better. But other than that, things are pretty straightforward, typical expenditures for the month.
Questions?
Oh, pretty low.
Alrighty. Thanks, Mike. Number 9, administration and Operations reports.
So the only thing I'd have there to highlight is on the administrative report, the billing percent compared to average, the 5-year average is up 3.7%. So that's a real good number starting into this year. The same or similar is reflected on the treatment report when you look at that and see the pumpage. Engineering, one highlight there, sort of a new update as of late Friday, we got the results of the satellite water leak detection program. It showed 45 points of interest, which we're really happy with. We thought it would be higher than that. I thought it would be quite a bit higher than that. So we're gonna meet with those folks to look at their dashboard and some training on leak detection, and then we'll begin that process to start looking at it. To say that there's usual suspects throughout the city, that would be a true statement, although it's spread all over, and there's quite a bit of new water main or several-year-old, 10-year-old water main that are showing leak indications as well. So we're a little surprised at some of those areas. We'll go see what we find there. A fair amount of them are on PVC water main subdivisions. We thought that was really surprising, but it certainly could be lateral leaks or what have you. One of them happens to be right in front of my house, so I'm wondering if my pool is leaking. But we will start going after that and looking at each one of those. But 45 is a doable proposition for us.
Mike, I have a question on that.
Yes,
Do
sir.
they give us a satellite picture of these leaks, or do they mark up?
So we don't get the satellite image that they use, but they mark up in a GIS format. What they do is they intersect their analysis with our water mains and give us those water mains that are in a suspect area. So it's an area that's about 650 feet in diameter. Any water main within that circle could be a problem. And it could be water mains, laterals, the pools as an example, if they're an active leak. It could be private water mains that could be leaking if they're within there. So it's a bit of a challenge yet to narrow that down, but it's better than looking, blindly.
Have an idea of how we can kind of pinpoint those?
Yeah, we're gonna start. Step one would be simply listening on all the valves and curb stops in the area to see if we can hear water leaking. And then we'll start using our electrical hydrophones, so see if we can hear that. Lastly, we can isolate some main sections, some we cannot. But lastly, we'd hire a leak locator to come in and he uses acoustic listening devices on the valves to try and computer model to pinpoint where a leak may be, if he can identify. Difficult to do on PVC water main, so kind of hoping we find something.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Aaron's report, sewer repair maintenance. That a Cretex representative was there to show sewer collection crews a new product for building manhole chimneys. You know anything about that?
Yeah, instead of the old concrete adjusting rings that are heavy, they're difficult to work with, they've had for years sort of a plastic model. This one's a little bit different. It interlocks with the ring below it. They use a particular sealant on it. A number of people are using it in the area. In fact, one of the contractors that's working on Oak Creek, one of their workers talked to one of our staff and said, you guys are still using those concrete rings because they're very heavy and difficult to work with. You're putting a layer of mortar in between and trying to get that just to the elevation that you need is difficult. This is more precise. So we had the Cretex rep out, showed it to us. We're not 100% sold on it, but we're enough to where we want to try that. So we're going to pull some in, try them, and see how they work for us. We've tried it many years ago. Those had too much deflection in them, and those manholes would move up and down and cause pavement cracking. So we stopped using that. We're going to give these a try again.
Aaron's going to be on track for the CMOM and the CMAR report.
Yeah, we had a few little password problems with the CMAR through the DNR, but we're getting that straightened away. Yeah, no, he's absolutely tracking on those.
At the plant. Talking about significant amount of clogging with the rust particles in the lower cap bar.
Yeah, that was all galvanized pipe that was put in there. primarily for structure to hold the pieces in their alignment and what have you. That's caused all kinds of problems and has plugged up pretty significantly, as Mike said. So they're replacing all that with PVC and then bracing it in a way so it doesn't come apart, but that way we won't have that recurring problem.
Something else, or were we using stainless steel or something at one point?
Not on that. No, it was all galvanized when it was put in.
Mike, how are we doing on security for the intake itself down there? We had any changes or improvements?
No, we've actually got a project that's going to address some security features at Broadwater that should go out to bid in 2 weeks. I'll be back for the board on July 20th. I'm sorry, July 13th. So we are moving forward with that project. That's doing some drainage things, it's doing some fencing things, it's doing some camera things. So we are working on that a bit.
The reason I mention it, we've got a lot of interest in people or people showing up at the park and they're walking all over, and I'm just making sure that we have that, because some of these people like to wander, and we want to make sure that we don't have these people down there helping you with the treatment plant.
One of the items, we're providing access to the roof to do maintenance tasks, but now with the required safety features that need to be in that, it almost makes it inviting to climb up there. So we're kind of working through that now too, to protect our people when they go up there, but also not make it encouraging for others to go and climb up that.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
Monthly pumpage seemed to be.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah, it's been dry this year so far, but largely this is industrial. And what we've noticed on the satellite leak detection, we've talked about We Energies before, they've got 2 leaks on their system past a meter. So we're going to first go through ours and identify a couple of leaks, get some success, and then we're going to meet with them and say, hey, this is what this study turned up. You may want to go and look at it. And we've had some success finding those leaks. So we don't want to contact them just yet, but yeah, we will.
Other questions? We'll move on to traffic and safety. Number 10, consider a motion to reject a request to establish no parking around the north cul-de-sac of Crane Drive. Who's this? Is you, Mike?
Yes, thanks, Chris. So we have 3 traffic and safety items on the agenda today. I've asked Ashley Kapczynski, our design engineer, to attend. She does the, kind of leads these efforts in gathering information, sending notices out to affected properties. So first one we have is there had been a request for no parking on the north end of Crane Drive. You see it up on the screen. That's that dead end road off the comes off the north side of Chestnut Drive, and that subdivision north of Rawson. And basically, it was an anonymous request, and it was citing a concern that any vehicles that park on that cul-de-sac would be impeding turning movements. And so Ashley reached out to various city departments, PD, fire department, DPW, and collected their information. And basically there was no opposition to, there was no support for instituting no parking based on no evidence of impeding city operations, trash and recycle collection. PD was not in support of no parking instituted up there. The fire department they were in support of it. And then we sent notices out to the neighborhood and just received 2 responses. Both were opposed to the request for no parking. Then I just communicated that back to the fire department, and they basically accepted that. So that formed our recommendation that the request should be turned down. And so the recommendation is to reject the request for no parking. Again, it was an anonymous request, and then even after we sent the notices out, we did not hear back from the requester insisting that this no parking move forward.
Straightforward to me. Any questions?
How do you want to put that into a motion? Do you want to make it a positive one and then reject it, or put it as rejected motion?
I did word it, the recommendation is to reject the request. So I think if the motion is, reads as outlined here, I think we get what we're looking for.
As you have it written works.
Do it that way then?
Yeah.
Check. Okay.
Want to take it, Fred?
Seifert moves to reject a request for establishing no parking on the north cul-de-sac of Crane Drive.
Richards a second.
Roll call.
Seifert, aye.
Sigali, aye.
Richards, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Holman, aye.
All right, number 11, consider a motion to approve a request to establish no parking along both sides of Lake Vista Boulevard.
So Lake Vista Boulevard, you may recall, had until just a couple of years ago was Old Ryan Road, and it was served as the entrance to Bender Park. It has, of course, since been. It also serves Lake Vista Parkway, the main road through our Lake Vista Park. That is still a narrow rural section roadway, and DPW had asked that no parking be established along this segment of road from Fifth Avenue to Bender Park and the Lake Vista Parkway entrance. That's simply being that with Lake Vista Park open now, there are times when there are heavy park uses, such as the 4th of July coming up, where they want to make sure that there's no parking along that roadway, just because it is so narrow and it is needed for, the traveling public in and out of the event. So, what they found is that it's somewhat inefficient to be installing temporary no parking signs along that segment of road and then taking them down and then reinstalling them at the next event. They cannot keep those signs up. They just fade out very quickly. So basically, it seems to make sense that there is not a need to allow parking along that road, and that such that I guess the recommendation is that we would ask that permanent no parking be established along that segment of road. And I know that the DPW had a conversation with the PD in anticipation of this year's 4th of July festivities down there. So PD was in support of the no parking during that discussion.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, just one, Chris. What's the plan on that stretch of road there, Mike, moving forward? Is that, do we have plans to improve that?
Right, yes. With the Lakeshore Commons project, that will be improved. It will have curb and gutter. It's still thought that no parking should be the situation out there. Even when that road is improved, it's going to be slightly widened with on-street bike lane and then travel lane in each direction. So it would be approximately 40 feet, 39 feet actually in width from back of curb to back of curb. One thing that potentially could happen is if there is a desire for parking once the road is widened out. If there is a desire for for parking on a temporary basis due to 4th of July or something, a heavy park user like that, they probably could bag off one side of those signs. They just temporarily cover them. pretty quick and easy, effort and still have enough room for two-way traffic on that roadway. But right now, it would be wise to.
What's the timeline on the improvement?
I expect that roadway would be improved probably, not this year yet, 2022 is probably from the timing, yeah.
County involved in any of that?
Just from keeping them in the loop situation, but it is, a city local road, right? Yeah, no, they're not involved financially at all.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Comments? If not, motion.
Scully moves to approve the request to establish no parking along both sides of Lake Vista Boulevard from Fifth Ave to Lake Vista Parkway.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call.
Seifert, aye.
Scully, aye.
Richards, aye.
Guzekowski, aye. Holman, aye. Number 12, consider a motion to approve a request to install crosswalk improvements on Randy Road at Oak Leaf Trail.
So there had been a request, actually, we received a citizen's request for action with a concern about bicycles and pedestrians exiting that pathway where Randy Road turns into Connor Way. And as you can see on the screen, that it's a bit of an obstructed view as they exit the pathway in Cross Randy Road. There's some arborvitae that are growing there that have really gotten too close to the street. We think that at least one of them should be removed, and we can deal directly with that property owner. But also to get these bicyclists and pedestrians safely across the street, we thought let's get a crosswalk established there, complete with some signage and the required sidewalk ramps. And DPW they received that request and they thought that was a good idea, so they talked with us and Ashley had drawn up this plan. And put an estimate together. We estimated it'd be about $4,500 to do this, and then we would probably see if some of this work, if this work could be done in-house with the city staff. And I'm looking at you, Ted, because you guys are well equipped and you have the ability to do this work. Obviously, you do this type of work for all these traffic and safety requests. So, just one thing to add: this would be the warning signage request that we talked about at the last meeting. Of course, at that meeting we established warning signage. We would try not to bring them through this group. That we would handle those on the staff level. This one just rose to a little higher level because of the costs. So that's why we have it before the board today.
I may, Mr. Chair. I walk this area fairly often across the bike path and come across here. I would absolutely endorse this. When you get to the bike path, you get to the street, you can't get across the street to get to the sidewalk on the other side. So I think there absolutely is really a need for that, and I agree with you on the arborvitae to make it difficult to see down the road if there's a vehicle coming. So just my 2 cents.
I concur. I've been by there as well, so.
Mike, did you mention you're gonna put up some signs just to recommend the crossing itself?
Yeah, you can see them on the graphic if you're approaching from the northwest or from the east. It's kind of the standard MUTC sign that we like to use in conjunction with mid-block crosswalk crossings, just because they're not at an intersection where they generally you'll be looking out for them. So we expect where we have them placed on the graphic that would be the appropriate location.
One on each side looks good. If no other questions, motion.
Richards will make a motion to approve the request to install crosswalk improvements on Randy Road at the Oak Leaf Trail.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call.
Seifert, aye.
Second, aye.
Richards, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Bowman, aye.
If we may, I take a couple of steps backwards after utility. On the engineering report from Mike, there was a comment made that we've had a large influx of property maintenance complaints. 15.3, is that weeds or what?
These are more related to, general debris cleanup. So, we've got a lot of, we're just getting, and this is a kind of a springtime occurrence. Before the leaves, the trees leaf out and, it's all kind of gray out there in the spring. You can really see what's out there. So lots of, work on these on a lot of fronts. And it's just been kind of tough because, these come through building inspection and our building inspectors remain very busy with all the development going on.
And I noticed, Ted, you got the guys helping with the setup and staffing for the Evanshine Beer Park. Did you need help with quality control testing?
You'd have to ask Laura that one, but I know they're looking for volunteers. So if you want to go on their website and volunteer, you probably could do a little quality control while you were tending bar.
I've got a weed issue in our neighborhood. There's the first house that's vacant. They haven't cut their grass yet, so I gotta reach out to the weed commissioner, right, for that? Yes. Thank you.
What's the address? I know the guy.
First house, the vacant one?
Oh, do you know the address?
It's the first house off of 13th on Riverside. I don't know.
I know exactly where it is.
You guys, I've sent it to you in the past. Yeah,
I was gonna write that one.
okay. I sent it in the past. It's once or twice a year I send it.
Volleyball court in the backyard.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Already, 13, if there's no other questions, consider a motion to convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute Sections 19.85, sub 1, sub E, and G to discuss the following wholesale water contract.
Is that a motion on your part?
Yes, sir.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Seifert, aye.
Second, aye.
Richards, aye.
Guzekowski.
Bowman, aye.
Are we here or there?